1. E4, Robert James Fischer opens with the king's pawn, seeking a direct and aggressive confrontation, a hallmark of his uncompromising style and desire for the initiative from move 1. 1. D5, the Austrian Grandmaster Karl Robach chooses the solid Scandinavian defense, immediately challenging White's central pawn and steering the game into a less common path. 2. EXD5, Fischer makes the main and most principled capture, forcing Black's queen to develop early, which can become a target for White's developing minor pieces. 2. QXD5, the queen recaptures, the central theme of the Scandinavian, but it now finds itself in the center of the board, a temporary strength that Fischer will seek to exploit. 3. NC3, Fischer develops his knight with a gain of tempo, attacking the black queen and forcing it to move again, thus seizing a clear lead in development. 3. QD8, the queen retreats all the way back to its starting square, a solid but passive choice that cedes complete control of the center and the initiative to Fischer. For d4, Fischer immediately establishes a classic and powerful pawn center, a long-term strategic advantage that gives him a clear space advantage and dictates the course of the game. For g6, Robach opts for a fianchetto setup, a hybrid and unusual approach in the Scandinavian, aiming for solid development but doing little to challenge White's central dominance. 5. Bf4, Fischer develops his bishop to an active and aggressive square, controlling key central squares and preparing to participate in a future attack on the black kingside. 5. Bg7, the fianchetto is complete. Black's setup is solid but a bit passive, and he has allowed White to build a formidable attacking position with no interference. 6. QD2, Fischer's queen develops, cleverly connecting the rooks and preparing for queenside castling, a clear signal of his extremely aggressive intentions against the black king. 6. NF6, a standard developing move for Black, but in this position, it feels slow. The strategic battle has already been won by White, who is preparing a direct assault. 7. OOO, the declaration of war. Fischer castles queenside, creating a thrilling opposite side castling scenario where the game will be decided by a brutal race to checkmate. 7. C6, Robach plays a solid move, bolstering his center and preparing to gain some space on the queenside, but his king is now a sitting duck. 8. BH6, the classic attacking plan. Fischer immediately challenges Black's key defensive piece, the fianchettoed bishop on g7, aiming to trade it off and weaken the black king's fortress. 8. Robach castles directly into the eye of the storm, a courageous but necessary decision. His king is now a direct and unavoidable target for White's impending pawn storm. 9. H4, the pawn storm begins. Fischer wastes no time in launching a direct and brutal assault against the black king's fortress, a classic Fischer strategy. 9. EQA5, Robach desperately tries to create counterplay by bringing his queen to the queenside, but this plan is far too slow compared to the raging fire of White's kingside attack. 10. H5, the attack intensifies. Fischer sacrifices a pawn to rip open the H-file, a classic attacking technique to create a highway for his rooks to join the assault. 10. GXH5, the capture is forced, but it shatters the black king's pawn cover and brings the white rook into the game with devastating effect. The king's fortress is crumbling. 11. BD3, Fischer develops his bishop to a powerful attacking square, from where it eyes the weakened black kingside and prepares to join the final, decisive assault. 11. NBD7, a standard developing move, but the position demands urgent defensive measures. This move is simply too slow and does nothing to stop the coming avalanche. 12. NG2, the final piece is developed and brought towards the kingside, completing the attacking formation. All of White's pieces are now poised for the kill. 12. RD8, Robach brings his rook to the center, perhaps hoping to create some counterplay, but the decisive battle is being fought and won on the kingside. 13. G4, a second pawn storm. A brilliant and powerful pawn sacrifice to rip open the g-file and add another line of attack for White's rooks. A truly inspired attacking concept. 13. NF8, the knight reroutes for defense, a desperate attempt to bring reinforcements to the kingside and hold the crumbling fortress together, but it is too little, too late. 14. GXH5, the g-file is blasted open. Fischer's rooks now have a direct line to the exposed black king. The attack is now completely overwhelming and decisive. 14. N6. The knight finds a good defensive square, but it is a lowly warrior fighting against a perfectly coordinated white army that is smelling blood. 15. RDG1. The rooks are doubled. The final piece joins the assault on the g-file, creating an irresistible and crushing attacking force. The pressure is unbearable. 15. KH8. The king tries to flee the g-file, a sad necessity and a clear sign of the extreme and mortal danger black is in. There are no safe squares. 16. BXG7+, the decisive exchange. Fischer removes the key defender, the dark squared bishop, leaving the black king completely naked and defenseless against the coming storm. 16. NXG7, the forced recapture, but the dark squares around the king are now fatally weak and will be ruthlessly exploited by the white queen and rooks. 17. QH6, the queen lands on the killer square. This devastating move creates immediate and unstoppable mating threats on the H-file. The end is now very near. 17. RG8, the only move. The rook is forced to a passive square to prevent immediate mate on H7, but it is just delaying the inevitable for a few moves. 18. RG5, a brilliant rook lift. The rook attacks the queen and prepares to swing over to the H-file for the final, brutal checkmate. The coordination is perfect. 18. QD8, the queen is forced into a sad retreat. It is a helpless spectator to the destruction of its own king, unable to help in the defense. 19. RHG1, the final piece joins the attack. The coordination of white's pieces is a symphony of destruction, a perfect attacking masterpiece. The pressure is unbearable. 19. NF5, a desperate attempt to block the attack and create some confusion by sacrificing a piece, but Fischer has a simple and elegant finish prepared. 20. BXF5, the brilliant and crushing final move. A bishop sacrifice that deflects the rook and forces resignation due to an unstoppable mating sequence with QH8 hashtag. A perfect attacking game.